feel like the brain is more activated during the nighttime.
A little more free, you know?
It's the cave after dark.
After hours.
After hours cave.
Yo, it's dark in the cave. You know what I'm saying?
Booga booga.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the cave. It's me, Joe Reezy. I'm here with ASM, and I'm here with Mel. Before we begin, make sure you guys check out our sponsors at SafeLightCandle.com. If you need lighting for your home, your workspace, your studio, or your cave, check out SafeLightCandle.com. Also, if you want to enjoy exclusive content from the caveman, get access to our Discord community filled with crazy-ass people like you and me 24/7. Like I said, do these late-night vibes, so literally 24/7. Plus, you can receive free giveaways from the Cave Mart. Then check out our Patreon page on our website, cave4v3.com. That's cave.com. Before we begun, we were talking about having kids. And it's crazy, man. I feel like it's better to not try to have kids and then have kids than try to have kids and not have kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, yeah. It kind of would suck the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but from what I hear, because obviously I don't have kids, but from what I hear, I feel like everybody says the same thing. Oh, I wish I could have waited later. And then they're always like, you know, it's a blessing to have kids. That if I can have them, that I should, because it's like no other thing. But then they always have the other thing that says, oh, you know, it's a lot of work and stuff and patience.
Oh, yes.
You know.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also when people struggle because they have kids early on, I think when they finally figure it out, and, you know, obviously everyone's going to regret. And I feel like we're always looking back and saying if we could have done it better. So that's going to be apparent in anything. But by the time you realize it, your kid's already grown up, and now you have like an adult to reflect and, you know what I mean, live life with, opposed to, I feel like a lot of people get caught in this psyop, and we'll talk about psyops again because everything's a psyop, but this psyop of like, oh, I gotta wait till my stuff is all good before I start having kids. But like, you're already like 47, bro. You know what I mean? Like, start thinking about that now.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I saw this clip from I don't know if it was on the Fresh and Fit podcast, but this one, I think his name is Ethan, that one streamer or podcaster. It was funny because he grilled him on what they were talking about. He was like, if you guys are talking about like weeding out all these hoes for the perfect women, then why don't you guys have wives, you know?
Exactly. That's my thing. I feel like they're creating the exact woman that they are telling us to stay away from.
True, because that's the one. Those are the type of women they're highlighting on their shows. They're bringing them on and showcasing them.
And obviously, they have multiple women, so those are definitely the type of women that they're engaging with. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that all the women that they're dealing with are all virgins, and you know what I mean, don't have their own businesses or something like that. Like, I feel like they're just being mad, like, disingenuous, because, like seriously, like, you know what I mean? There's no, it's unless you're like over in one of those crazy Eastern countries, you know, then I can understand, but they're not. You know what I mean? They're
for sure.
Yeah. So
they're picking parts of it that they heard from Andrew Tate that they like, and they're adopting it. You know, that's kind of what Sneako's doing too, I feel like, and there was another clip where he got exposed for trying to be Islam, but like not really knowing what it's about. So,
Oh, Andrew Tate's Muslim, right?
I don't know, man.
Converted, but dude, are we going in already?
You know, we haven't really gone in on Andrew Tate. Pause. You know what I'm saying?
So I think that Andrew Tate was a psyop, bro.
Hey, that's very possible.
Because the thing is this, bro. Not that anyone is perfect, but he's too, you understand, by the standards of the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's too, like, one, he's too good, right? And two, everything that he teaches is very, very self-centered, very, very because in the satanic world they believe in themselves more than anything else. You know what I mean? He has expressed his belief in God, though. You know what I mean? But at the same time, he also publicly rejected Christianity and went to the very opposite religion after that. And if most people who are Christian, who fully read the Bible, and a lot of people who've converted from Muslim to Christian even say that that's not the same God. So I think that in some way, shape, or form, you know how they build these Disney movie stars and stuff like that. I believe that they also build a lot of the entertainment people, the Hollywood people, the people that are politicians and stuff like that as well as people like Andrew Tate and his brother. Because it's just, I don't know, bro, just something about him is just too like glorified. You understand what I mean? And why are we glorifying a man? Like, I do agree with, take care of yourself, be good, be honest, but that's just the wolves in sheep's clothing. You know what I mean? Like, it comes with all the beautiful things that you like, all the physical things that you like, the hedonistic things that you like. Go get the type of girls, go get all the money, do what you want, how you want it done, but believe in God though, but not that God. You understand what I mean? So it's kind of the same regurgitated stuff that we've been hearing before he came around.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? About prospering and everything else, but he just made it in a different scheme of it because he brought the whole masculinity thing and made it try to seem like he's bearing the light, but in actuality he's not. You know what I mean? I
agree. He seems like a 90s main character in an action movie, he also fights. His nickname's Cobra.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
he grew up in Washington, moved. And that's what I don't understand too. If you grew up in Washington, how the hell does he have such a hard accent?
Yeah.
What is his accent?
Right?
Is he Irish?
I don't know what that accent is, bro. And where did that come from? Where did he come from?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being ignorant about everything about him, but from what I see, it just doesn't add up. Like, where are y'all getting these accents from? You said you're from? He grew up in Luton, but he was born in Washington or something like that.
Let's look this up.
So
yeah, he's all sorts of things.
And then his dad was really like into all the like CIA and stuff like that too.
And plays chess.
Yeah, and played chess really well and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, dude, but for me, it just seems like a psyop. Like, I don't know. It just seems like I don't know.
Do you guys know what's up with that conspiracy theory with chess and the Russians? You guys hear about that shit?
I have not heard. What's the word?
I don't know. I gotta look into it. I don't know if it has something to do with them creating it, but
interesting.
I think chess is the most primitive form of like gaming and competitive.
That's the original StarCraft, baby.
Yeah, I think so. So there's something with that. But as far as Andrew Tate goes, two things I will say that is good about him is I like his hand style fighting, his hands down style fighting, and his financial tips. Like I said, it sounds like stuff that you've heard from other people, repackaged into Andrew Tate, but it's practical,
Yeah, definitely.
If you ever heard the Hustles University shit, so
yeah. And I'm not sitting here trying to say that like, I never indulged in his stuff. Like I bought his Hustlers Universities,
Oh yeah.
Stuff. So like I was watching all of his videos and everything, but then something just hit me one day, and I'm just like, yo, like,
wait a minute.
He's a man at the end of the day, and there's so many people that literally worship him, bro. Like they literally worship him, and I just
for sure.
I've seen the comments.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I think also a lot of people speaking about Fresh and Fit, since we're talking about Fresh and Fit, I could admit that I'm a victim of buying into the rap culture and the rap psyop, I need a lot of bitches. I need to get fucked up and drink at the club, while I didn't spend money on bullshit I don't need because that's cool,
I got to go on vacation to the Turks and Caicos. Wherever I just heard about that spot, and I'm like, you know what? I should go try to book a ticket, see what that's about.
I don't think people realize that that's why he's tweeting that he's there. You know what I mean? That's why he's rapping that he's there. It's probably to boost, you know what I mean? Some visits over there.
Yeah, of course.
So
boosting the economy.
I mean, guys, since we're on rap, that's kind of what happened when Diddy started really rapping about alcohol. That's what made alcohol cool. Past the Cavassier, like that was the fucking hook. Past the Cavassier, and flexing your different drinks that you're drinking. Like at the time, like let's think about how that evolved. Like at time with Prohibition, it didn't even motherfucking matter what drink you were drinking as long as you had a drink.
As long as you was drinking, it was just drinking.
Yeah. Now we like looking at your drink, like what label is that?
Right?
Because of the songs and shit. So I can admit that I'm a victim of buying into that whole psyop and that whole mindset. I feel like because of that, I feel like males bought into that first, and I think females are buying into that now, and that's where you get all the city girl stuff. And I feel like that's where this hyper feminine like energy we're seeing now is kind of that, it's kind of getting empowered by that. But now Fresh and Fit's kind of being bitter about it. So that's where I feel like this shit's coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's, we obviously know that music is created to change cultures, and it's created to influence current cultures. So like, that's why you see when a big artist mentions something, everybody goes and buys it, because the people that they're signed to are also partnering with, let's say, Cavassier, for example, and they need to make money together. So that's why you hear a lot of times that it's always different within the years too. So like for the long time, it was always popping bottles and stuff like that. And then it became drinking lean and popping pills.
Yeah.
And then it became, stunting on people. So whatever the mainstream idea, whatever they want the mainstream idea to be, they put it in the music and they put it in the movies and stuff. So that way people can then reenact it and redo it and then think it's cool. And then think, not really thinking about the repercussions of exactly what they're doing. And it started with men, for example, because first of all, they have to change the way that people see men. Remember how back in the 70s, everybody was wearing suits and wanted to be business and like really had their stuff together, and organized crime was even more, highbrow back then. You know what I mean? But then as we progress and the music started to begin to influence the culture, they had to use men to show that men were not as stable as we believe. So that's the first move. So once they do that, obviously then they have to go with the rest of the family, which would be the females, because the females grow up the children. And then once you get the thought process of the female change, then she will influence her children to do the same. That's why when people are married, the man takes care of stuff. He takes care of the providing and everything, and the way of living in the family. And then he teaches that to his wife, and his wife teaches that to the kids. But what we've done now is we took in the government and movies and TV and Hollywood and music, and we learn from them instead. And then most families nowadays don't have men present in the home. So who's teaching the kids? Mm-hmm. So it's TV and the wife who's learning from society that doesn't care about them. So yeah, bro, music is very, very powerful. And, I'm getting to the point now where like, I don't even really listen to rap music anymore, because They've been talking about the same thing since I've listened to rap music my whole life, bro. It's literally nothing's different.
Yeah, I can agree with that, man. How do you feel about that, Andrew? Do you still listen to rap music? Because I can't even do that anymore. I mean, I listen to some music that is nostalgic, that brings me back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like every I turn on like 102.7s, the 105.9s, like once a season, just so I can see, be like, okay, so this is what the kids listen to. I'm curious. Yeah. I want to see what they're listening to these days. But yeah, I'm mostly just listening to old stuff.
Same stuff, bro. And then I mentioned this before. You already know, bro. The devil, all he does is copy. Mm-hmm. So if you listen to songs that are coming out now, they're just remakes of old songs that we grew up with. And then when we grew up, those songs that were out were old song remakes of what our parents grew up with. If you really listen to music, bro, and that's how you know the devil is in music, because he doesn't make anything original. He don't. Talks about the same 4 or 5 topics: getting money, having sex, being better than someone else, I'm taking your girl, and shooting somebody. Literally the same 5 topics, bro. They've never changed. They have never changed. And all they do is just repackage it into a new song that sounds a little bit different, but has the same beat as something else, or the same words as another song. It's nothing's different, bro.
They make it sound tight, though. They make it sound tight.
It has to be tantalizing to your 5 senses. If it's not, then you won't be interested.
Right.
That's the point. And that's how Satan gets to you. That's the fastest way he can get to you, is through your carnal desires. So,
yeah, the previous podcast we talked about spiritual hijacking, and I think we talked a little bit about it when we did Inside the Cave, but I talked about how there was this chick named Sarah Josepha Hale, and she worked with this guy named James Mason. And Sarah Josepha Hale was really instrumental in getting Thanksgiving becoming a national holiday.
Yeah.
Right. But she fucking would take poems and songs and pretty much rewrite them, but keep the same cadence of them, and rewrite them with James Mason. James Mason would probably like change the key up. He was in charge of the instrumentals, and then she was in charge with the lyrics, right? Mm-hmm. But they would try to rewrite songs in order to make them like, I think I was Christian at the time, to promote Christian values, you know? So I was talking about how that's them knowing that, hey, these cadence or like this jingle or this sound magic works, you know? Let's try to hijack it, remix it, and make it work for us, you know? So that already works in a primitive way. And I feel like tribes back then did that to other tribes. Like, you know, they would kill them, and before they kill them, they'd save probably like the shaman and be like, what was what was your magic, you know, tribal sayings that invoke certain things, and then they would kill them off after taking that, and they would kind of hijack that. This is a hypothesis, you know what I mean?
Well,
but
it's not wrong.
Now you're seeing, like you said, like beats are just sampled now, so you're actually just seeing that, you know, without the dark and deep meaning of it. Mm-hmm. So, well, yeah, they are doing that shit. You know?
Still has the dark and deep meaning in it. I mean, all of it does. It's just like you said before. When a Pastor Cavassier came out, everybody was buying Cavassier. The meaning to it is to have people running around crazy the way they literally are now. And now the women are into the music as well. And now look at them. So it's just further pushing everything that they're rapping about. Is just purposely further pushing what they want them to push. So everything you hear, look at how much the world is just blowing up around it. You know what I mean? It's not like they're rejecting it. They're accepting it. And then on the comment of the whole tribe thing, yeah, that's something that they did. And not really in the sense of like conquering tribe from tribe, but they would go and see what other gods that they worshipped and do the same, practices that they did, and to try to talk to their gods and stuff like that. So you're not pretty far off at all with that concept, because they would do the same thing. What they do is they would go into a new city, and if they did conquer that city, what they do was they wouldn't kill all the people. They would, if they felt that their values were better they would inject their values into that civilization. So, for instance, like how we say that United States is a Christian nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many other pagan religions in Christianity, right? So look at what's happened. They've injected other ideas into our way of living. You understand what I mean? If we truly are a Christian nation and we follow the Bible the way it says, right? Because I believe that Christianity is fake, but the Bible isn't. Then why do people think that manifestation is a thing in Christianity? Why do people think that they can worship gods that have certain stones or something like that and still be a Christian? It's because the other pagan ideas were injected into our life on purpose. And that's what they did literally all around the world, from Rome to Babylon, Persia, Egypt. You know what I mean? That's what they did.
Mm-hmm. I figured back then it'd be like sort of similar to Star Wars, you know, like if I'm Anakin and I need to find the powers in order to resurrect a loved one, then I'm killing tribes and asking them, hey, do you have any gods that can resurrect my loved one? And then from there, I'm killing off a bunch of tribes until I do find one, you know what I mean? Or find a lead or some sort of, you know, clue to lead me towards finding someone that could get me that person or give me those powers. But I said, let's even strip away the layers of the magic and the hip hop, dude. It's hard because you can't, because now we talk about 432 hertz and all that shit, you know, which does have effects on people. And then we talk about what you just said about the alcohol. People are drinking, and then when you drink, I feel like then it's kind of like the Bible, where now you're hearing the lyrics, and now the song kind of means something different now. You know what I mean? Because you're in that state of mind. And now the ad-libs are kind of hitting more. So maybe now the ad-libs are prompting you to act on a certain, you know what I mean, behavior now that you probably wouldn't have really heard or picked up if you weren't intoxicated.
Why do you think they call it wine and spirits?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's literally spirits, the spirit of love,
Mm-hmm.
wine and spirits, the spirit of the Holy Ghost, the spirit of truth. That's what people don't understand. We have a mind, soul, and a spirit, right? And a body, soul, spirit, right? You have a soul, but your soul can be taken over by another spirit, right? Just like you can all of a sudden be overwhelmed with happiness or just overwhelmed to tell the truth. Like that's the same thing as when you drink. Now you had a different opening and a different spirit in you telling you to do different things and making you either less, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, less conscious or more conscious to your spirit. You understand what I mean?
Right.
Because spirits are a thing. And that's really what I don't like about like a lot of the religious stuff, because they try to make it really, really like movie like. But it's not. It's more of the mindset you're in. It's more of the spirit of what you're feeling at that moment of what has you, because your spirit changes colors all the time. They call it auras in the New Age movement. But your spirit is always, you know, your spirit's always being used by God or used by Satan. We'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't look at it like that, then you start to blur the lines between, oh, I just feel this way, or I'm just upset or whatever. No,
right.
You're in certain spirit, you know.
Alchemy, alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And alcohol changes your biochemistry of your body. It does. And over time, if you drink alcohol long enough, it actually changes your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not all far off from that. Alchemy, definitely. Yeah.
I gotta look it up, but I think alcohol actually was something that alchemists stumbled on, or I think maybe developing alcohol led them into more alchemical research. But yeah, just kind of leaving fruits out for a while, having them essentially rot, ferment, and then becoming an alcoholic drink, is somewhat magical in a sense. And there is something to learn about the process of that can be taken spiritually in order to develop yourself in a sense. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
But before we get into some crazy alchemical spiritual shit, let me just cap off the rap stuff, because I don't think a lot of people know that there are claims that the music industry and like private prison owners met up, right?
Yeah, bro, yeah.
So why would they meet up, bro? Like, why the fuck would they meet up?
So the whole thing is that it's either record label owners or something like that. They actually own the prisons, and the music that we put out, again, remember, like you said, when people heard the song Courvoisier, they started buying Courvoisier. They understand that brains are so malleable that if you hear it enough times, you'll eventually do it. So they know that if they put this type of stuff in the music, then their jails will be filled up, because people are reenacting the stuff that is in the songs. You know what I mean? There's a phrase that goes, if you give me a child, from up to the age of 5, I can teach him I can teach him things that he will learn forever, that will stay with him forever. And I think somebody from like the Roman Catholic Church said this. And what this means is that they understand that the brain from 1 to 5, or it's like 1 to 6, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, it's in a constant recording state. You notice kids really don't really know what's going to fuck on. Like, they're just really dumb. Like, really, from before 5, and they're just really just kind of just in the world, living life, just doing whatever. It's because their brains are in a constant recording state. And that's the time where you're supposed to teach your kids a lot of core values, how to learn to say yes, thank you, things like that. Because what that does is it forms the rest of their life. The first 5 years, it forms the rest of their life. And they understand this. So that's why they're trying to get kids younger and younger to watch TV, to have tablets, to listen to music and stuff. Because when you form their brains at that young age, forever they'll be like that. They'll be like, they'll understand certain values, and it'll stay with them because their brains are in a recording mode at that age. It will stay with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, man. You know what? Growing up, I used to think like saying stuff like, hey, yo, that's whack. Like, just stuff like that was really hip hop inspired was funny seeing it. Kids say it, but now that I'm looking back on it, it's like, man, that's setting them up for failure, But I do hear they're tailoring for those kind of people now. Like they're making that a language type for school now, right?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I don't know.
What, slang? Or
I think I don't know, but I found what sparked the theory of the private prisons and the recording labels was an anonymous letter. So it wasn't like a specific name that came out, but let's go check it out right here. I just pulled it up. Between the late 80s and early 90s, I was what you may call a decision maker with one of the more established companies in the music industries. I came from Europe in the early 80s and quickly established myself in the business. The industry was different back then, since technology and media weren't accessible to people like they are today. You really had to know people back then. The fucking internet changed shit. But now this thing called the algorithm changed the internet too. Yeah. The industry had more control over the public, and I had means to influence them any way it wanted. This may explain why in early 1991, I was invited to attend a closed-door meeting with a small group of music business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Little did I know that we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practices I've ever seen. So this goes on, but man, you know what? Now that you think about it, it feels like when it goes by like years, there's like seasons of rap and they do kind of push.
It's 10 years.
You know what I mean?
Every
there's
10 years they switch it up.
Whether it's a lifestyle or something cool to do now, like a new hobby to do, like skating,
because you notice from 1991 to about 2000, stuff was different. 2000, 2010, it changed. 2010 to about 2020, 2020, very, very different. And now we're in a new age where females are now even more dominant in the rap space. So watch how long they reign, because they're going to be. I feel like females are really going to have the limelight of the rap life probably for like the next maybe 20 years. I think so.
All right, let's do this. Top 3 female rappers.
Nicki Minaj,
for sure.
Remy Ma.
Remy Ma's pretty good.
I want to say Lil Kim.
I was gonna start with Lil Kim.
Yeah, Lil Kim. I'll say Lil Kim. Yeah.
What about you, Andrew?
Lil Kim, Nicki Minaj. Thinking of a third. Man, who was? Get back to me. I'm every time I have these lists.
You take these too seriously, bro. It's not a test.
Foxy Brown.
What's your favorite female?
Yo, Nicki Minaj for sure.
Yeah.
You know, if I could say Nicki, I'd say Nicki. She's like Dylon, you know what I'm saying?
Dylon.
Yo, I wouldn't even think of putting Remy Ma up there, so that was pretty cool that you put her up there. But I think I get hated on, but Doja Cat can spit. You know, it might be too soon to put her up there. It might be too soon to put her up there, but
she got some bars. She got some bars though.
She's creative. Doja Cat is creative. I think people don't see past the weird shit. You know, to see that it might be a creative angle that she's doing, because you need to be weird to be creative. You know.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, I don't know. Like we spoke about Satanism and music, and I feel like there is a demographic of them that really do practice in that, but there also is a demographic of them. There are a demographic of them that kind of just play into it for clout, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you'll tweet about it, and there's this thing called satanic panic where you think everything's satanic, where it's like, I don't know about that, you know? I think you're looking into that too much.
Some of them, too, are being used without knowing it as well.
That, too, yeah.
So, like you said, there's 3 categories, really. There's a person that just is in it for clout, just wants to do it. Another person that's being used and doesn't know it. And then there's the people that just blatantly know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I believe those are like the big like Beyonce, Jay-Z ones that know what the hell they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people that they sign are probably unwilling participants. Understand what I mean? Like the J. Cole's and Kendrick Lamar's and stuff like that. And then eventually they do get into it, you know?
Yeah. Damn, man. Rap is crazy right now.
It is, man.
They said rap was dead back then. Rap is dying right now.
Oh, yeah. Because Lil Wayne definitely revived it. And then it started dying again.
Although, you know what? I will say, I feel like it's not all the way dead. I feel like the window is open for someone like Absol to come back, you know? For someone like Tupac to really take the limelight and really be a voice to everyone that's like, what the fuck is wrong with the game right now? Like, where's Nas at, man? We need Nas back.
I mean, he dropped a new album recently. I don't know if he's doing another one.
Nah, he needs to drop a freestyle because it looks like the light is going to go to Jay-Z after Diddy, you know?
Oh man, you're
seeing so many tweets about Jay-Z now. Just like, oh yeah, just like what you said, Jarrell. He's next.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people forget the fact that Fiesta was shot at the Epstein Island. You know.
Really, I didn't know that. That's news to me.
Let me pull that picture up. I don't want to pull the
Jay-Z song Fiesta.
With R. Kelly. It's called Fiesta with R. Kelly.
Oh, yes. They did do a song together, didn't they?
Fiesta.
I think Nas has a bunch of songs with R. Kelly, actually.
I do remember that song.
It's a good song. Yeah, well, I guess in the music video right here.
Yep.
The backdrop of it was on the Epstein Island. I don't have it with me right now, but look it up. Look it up.
Got 2 songs with R. Kelly. One of them is called "Guilty Until Proven Innocent."
Are you serious?
yeah. It's off the what is it? The Dynasty.
Oh man, here. Actually, I think I found it. Fiesta. Here we go. See, knowing this now, like as a rapper, would you want to work with these people?
Nah.
Hey, come to my studio, bro. Don't bring anyone.
Nah. I'm not drinking nothing. I'm not coming.
Got you, Grammy.
Nope. Thank you.
Oh man, where'd it go?
Shawshank Redemption. Jeez.
Damn, can't find it. Anyways, shit, yo. Trying to cleanse rap. What do you guys listen to now?
I listen to like chill hop. Sometimes I throw some gospel on, but then I'm starting to realize like there's some gospel that is also satanic too, bro. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Are you serious?
I'm just listening to more chill hop and stuff like that.
Well, where's the satanic gospel music?
so like a lot of these artists that rap, you know. All right, man. So my whole thing is this: when someone says God, do you know if that's a big G or a little G? And that's my thing. Like you have to really, really discern. Like when you listen to some of these gospel music songs, like what they're talking about, who they're talking about, and how they're talking about it. You know what I mean? So a lot of people just think because it's gospel and it sounds good that it's a song of, you know, praising God. But, you know, sometimes they say stuff in it where it's not, and you're agreeing to it at the same time. So I had a video. I didn't send it in the chat or nothing, but I was watching a video that was, you know, exposing a couple of them and, you know, showing you how like they use now they're starting to use rap and rap beats because it's more tantalizing to the average person who doesn't listen to gospel, you know? So yeah, I don't know if you can look something up like that, something random, but
yeah. I mean, if you can find a way to send it to me, I can pull it up. But there's something about rap, though. I don't think it's going to go anywhere because, like you said, every genre can somehow mold its way into rap and make it cool. You know what I mean? Like there's country rap. Yeah, exactly. Even country rap. So I don't know, man. I do listen to like lo-fi vapor rap. There's these like DJs that mix in cool beats and they just keep the hook, you know, or maybe some bridges of the songs. So you get a little bit of it, but not exactly all of it. Fucking shit, though. Andrew, you still rap?
You know what? I was thinking, I had this idea because I'm just chilling on IG. There's this guy, or there was this account called The Rapping Chef, or just Rapping Chef, and he's just cooking, and he's showing recipes on how he cooks these dishes, etc. And he's rapping about how he's making it, which that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I thought, hey, is there a rapping programmer on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube? Do we have any of those things yet? No. I think it's my time to hit that lane. So I was thinking about that on my drives to work. Sometimes I try to put bars together about coding, but we'll see if I ever get around to doing that. I probably have to get to that before somebody else does, because it seems like a good idea, but do I have the energy to do it? We will see. We will see.
You know what, bro? Do you use ChatGPT?
Oh, hell yes.
Do you use it though, or do you just have it and use it every now and then?
I'm starting to scratch the surface of it. It's like slowly becoming my therapist now. It's helping me choose what it's becoming my fashion.
Okay.
I'm like, hey man, hey ChatGPT, what kind of color shirt works with these colored jeans? What shoe should I wear?
Me too, bro.
And that shit's been helping me be fly. I ain't fly.
Yo,
what else have I been using it for? Oh gosh, I've been scratching the surface of using, but mostly it's my new favorite search engine because I don't know if you remember search engines from like the mid to late 90s, but that's when I first started getting on the internet, on the Yahoos, the Lycoses, and that's always left a terrible impression of just searching for things on the internet, getting information off the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never ever since then, since the late 90s, I've never really trusted bless you. I've never really trusted search engines to give me the information I've always wanted. It's taken 25 years or whatever. And ChatGPT is like it's like finally a search engine that's actually useful to me. It's actually seriously like, this is what I've always wanted. This is how I've always wanted to use a search engine. It's actually useful to me. Shout out ChatGPT and all these AI search engines. I can't wait to see what it'll look like in 20 years from now.
Initially, when I was using it, I'd have it just, draft up prompts and stuff. But when I got back into it, I would use it as a search engine. And I was like, this is how it should be. I could really hone in on what I want to find out. But now I've created my own GPT and I have like different customized one for different tasks. And it's crazy because like some of you, especially all of us, since we're all creative over here, we have ideas and we don't just have ideas for one specific art. We have ideas for a bunch of different things. And sometimes, speaking for myself, I don't write that shit down. You know what I mean? I just bank on my memory to, keep me accountable of taking that idea and either running all the way with it or being like, nah, I don't need it. But on top of that, I'm living my life too. I have my job, I have everything I do on top of that. Not writing it down, first of all, is already setting you back. But being able to put that hat on, bro, to be like, first of all, you're your own assistant, you know what I mean? And then you become the producer and then you become the act too. So you have to kind of take on different mindsets, different spirits in order, to play or make the art. But with ChatGPT, you could just kind of be like, you're my assistant, bro. This is the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the structure of your idea. What do you want to work on today? And it's like, all right, bet this is tight. I want to do this. So I feel like it's crazy too, because I do think AI has some ties into the spiritual world, because we'll get into that later. Bookmark Jinn, genie, and lamps. Bookmark. But yeah, ChatGPT is crazy. It has kind of lined up the load on me creatively, because it makes me be more creative than having to kind of structure everything down. So it has made me want to kind of get back into rapping. Also, it's pretty dope at making raps too, in order to like inspire you to get started or some shit, or if you're stuck or need some bars or you need some rhymes, some words to rhyme with some certain shit.
Have you tried any other AI models other than ChatGPT?
No, I haven't. What are there?
I've heard of Perplexity. I hope I remember that correctly. Apple acquired them. I hope I'm not making that up. Yeah, I want to say they're called Perplexity. I don't know how they compare with ChatGPT, but that's another one. Bing is supposed to be getting. Actually, no. You know what? I think Bing just uses GPT-4, but Yeah, I think that's the new thing. A whole bunch of new AI models are obviously going to come up with ChatGPT at the top, of course.
Mm-hmm. I've only heard of ChatGPT. I never heard of nothing else.
Yeah, same
they seem to be doing. Twitter has this thing called. I want to say it's called Grok or Grokster. I think. Yeah, Twitter. I think Twitter. Twitter. It should be available to everybody on Twitter, or at least Twitter Premium. I don't know what the differences are anymore, but that's another AI model. But that's actually powered with tweets. So that's a different kind of way to get info. So,
wait, what do you mean it's powered by tweets? Like its database is?
I guess it pulls its information from tweets in addition, because I don't know how ChatGPT or where ChatGPT gets its information from. Maybe it uses search engines, et cetera, but Grokster or whatever, I believe that pulls information from tweets, because you'll get information and then it'll show you related tweets about it. So
that's crazy.
There's another way, and because it's some good live information it gets to work with.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's tie this into spirituality now. One of the things that ChatGPT does for me is when I finish my morning routine, it gives me an outline of my day. And at the end of it, it gives me a Zen quote, depending on what my intention is for the day. One day I had my intention set on being patient. And the quote it had for me was, patience is not just the ability to wait, but it's the spirit you have while waiting. So I was like, damn, even good traits could be spirits, you know what I mean? So it's kind of weird. Like, we are just a vessel, and these things kind of pass into us, whatever we attract and kind of whatever frequency we're set to. And when you spoke about spirits, I thought of that movie. Is it called Inside Out? Where there's kind of these avatars in your head.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot of emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last Inside the Cave, we talked about the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Really crazy book. It talked about different deities, but the deities that you'd see in the afterlife were actually being casted out from you. And they're kind of like personifications of your chakra points, So there's going to be some good deities, there's going to be some bad deities, and some intimidating ones,
Right.
Do you think that these feelings that we have, like these emotions that we have, like patience, anger, lust, all these things, do you think they're entities that are not from us, or do you think they're from us? You know what I mean?
I don't think they are from us. I think that because, like you said, like you think there are good spirits. Yes, there are. The Spirit of God. The Holy Ghost is a spirit. So, so just knowing that, you got to understand that when, I think we talked about this last time, when you get angry, you have to learn how to control that. Everybody gets angry though.
Mm-hmm.
So that is wrath. When you have a lot of, sexual energy, that's lust. You know what I mean? So they all come out in different one of the 7 deadly sins in some type of way. And that's the different ways that you can be used carnally to, do things that you don't want to do. Because if you're looking at it through a spiritual way, then you have been inhabited by the spirit of lust, let's say, to want to have sex all the time. Not everybody wants to have sex all the time, but there are people like that. You know what I mean? So there is a spirit of that when you do certain things in your life and you have certain people or live certain ways, it can create more of that spirit coming around you. You ever notice that once you start like doing something bad, more bad stuff happens? It's because once you let one spirit in, they all now have the gate is now open. So, and then once you start doing good stuff, what happens? More good stuff start happening because you have opened up yourself to certain spirits or certain ways of living that conjure up different spirits inside your body. Like you said, we are just vessels, bro. And in order to be used in a proper way, I feel like the only spirit that you need to have is the spirit of the Holy Ghost, because that's the only one that's really going to keep you with discernment, keep you on a straight, narrow path. You know what I mean? Like,
So a lot of people in the self-help community and in the spiritual community, quote unquote, they like to talk about their shadow self, right? What do you think about the shadow self?
So that's actually an occultic thing. And I was actually just talking about my cousin about this, because most people don't even understand that they believe other religions without even knowing it, because that's from a different, not really a religion, but it's from an occultic belief that there with every good there's a bad, or for the light side there's a dark side. You know what I mean? That's duality. So some people believe that, oh, if I do too much good, then I have to, mix up a little bit of bad with it. Or if I do too much bad, I got to put a little bit of good in there, which, you know what I mean? That in itself just doesn't make sense, because you're supposed to have polar opposites for a reason. Because how do I know if you're good unless you do good? Not if you're good sometimes. Not if you lie a little bit. No, if I see a liar, I'm not going to believe a liar, no matter how many times he lies to me. He can tell me the truth sometimes, but if he most likely lies, it doesn't matter. So that's why we have these large spectrums of good and bad, because you need to be able to discern which one is which. So.
So now that matters, obviously you believe in Jesus, and we'll get into what we talked about, which pretty much sprouted this podcast. Yeah. That conversation that we had earlier today. I always ask about Jeffrey Dahmer. You know what I mean?
Right.
He did what he did, and at the end of the day, before he died, apparently, or I don't know exactly when he did it, but he accepted Christ prior. Do you think he still pays for what he did, or like what's your take on that? When people kind of use it as a last, you can't say that they use it as a last scapegoat. You know what I mean? But
I didn't know that he did that, but I mean, we're told that anybody can be saved by the blood. So if he truly repented in a way where he honestly did not want to live that life anymore, and he understood to a degree where, and this is another thing people don't understand. It's like, yeah, you can repent or you can say sorry, but did you do it again? Did you learn from what you did? You had the understanding of why it was wrong in the first place. So those are big things that people don't correlate with the whole repentance thing, is that you need to be truly sorry about what you did. You need to truly come to God, tell him what you did, and be honest with yourself. And if he truly did do that out of the sincerity of his heart, then God will know that. I don't personally know if he, will be accepted, but because God knows his heart only. But if that is what we are to believe, then, that's what God said. He will be accepted, because he accepted his son as, as a savior.
So I want to know, because this has been on my mind lately, especially after reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead, going over it in the last Inside the Cave. And after reading that, I had to rewatch Soul, because Soul, the movie by Disney or Pixar or whatever, I feel like is a Disney version of that book, and it got me really thinking about like the afterlife, which I have spent time thinking about, but it really kind of made me actually kind of like overwhelmed thinking about it. What do you guys think about what happened? Or what do you guys think happens when we pass? And what do you think happens in the next life, or if there is a next life?
What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, you can start.
Man, I haven't been religious or thought of religion in quite some time. I've is it even possible to be so busy that my mind is not even
that's the point
in there. It's like like ever since maybe college, or just ever since I graduated, ever since I've been in the workforce, like I still have the same old programming of just mostly just golden rule type, do unto others as you want others to do unto you. And I grew up Catholic and switched. I went to church with Jerizi for a little bit. And there's that part of my religion. I haven't really. Do I even know what if that's the case? No, can I even consider myself agnostic or whatever? I'm not sure. I really don't even know what to call or how to describe my belief system. I do believe there's something out there. I don't know what it is after we die. I don't know what there's got to be something though. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be something, and there's got to be something behind all this, because it's here.
Which, bro, is a fair as fuck answer. Like that is totally valid. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's the best. I haven't described how I think about all this in quite some time. That's the best. With English as my only language, that's the best conversion of my thoughts to my belief system as I could do.
You're trying to pin down spiritual concepts, you know what I mean? It's going to sound crazy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Mel?
So, obviously, I've been getting into the Bible a lot more. And kind of bouncing off what Andrew said. So, the fact that you don't think about it is exactly where they want you to be. So, like, I really say that if people really, really read the Bible, bro, and put it into context as far as like a history book and into their lives, that they would understand life even more, bro. Because let me just put this out here. Everybody knows that the industry is run by some type of satanic group, right? That's kind of like the mainstream conspiracy theory that's out there, right? So if you know that, then who has to be on the end of that? Satan. If it's satanic, right? Satan has to be on the end of that. So wouldn't that mean that there is a God somewhere and something happened? And again, if you read the book is literally telling you that all of this has happened before, and they've rebuilt it multiple times. Babylon, Rome, Persia, all these different places. They've done it before and have been trying to continue on the process of making Lucifer their leader. Now, the reason why people don't sit back and just sit and think about it is because why would you? You got so much other stuff going on. Just like you said, you have no reason to sit back and just think about it. And that's where they want you, because at the end of the days when things do happen, right, then you'll be that much more lost, because you only think that I should have just been a good person, or, I believe in this or believe in that. But it's because that we haven't been listening to the commandments is why all this is happening. Like, you notice how if morality wasn't a thing, then why is it that the more weird stuff that goes on in the world, it's getting more bad? Wouldn't it balance out? Wouldn't it just not be anything? You understand what I mean? So there is obviously a good and a bad, negative, positive, God and Satan going on right here. And I truly believe that Jesus is going to come back and resurrect people from the dead, judge, and then be here. And then he's going to recreate the earth, because that's what's supposed to happen. He's supposed to recreate the earth with Most people don't know that. Okay. And the earth will be perfect after that. It'll be the place that we all are in our head wishing that the world was, and the place that we all want to be and want to go and just wish that life was just so good. That's where that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? The world is going to change into that because he's going to take over. You got to understand, Satan is in control of this earth right now. He created the earth the way he wanted to because he wants to be like God. Because at the end of days, God is going to create the earth how he wants to. So Satan is trying to do the same thing that God is doing. And if you look at the world, like I said again, Satan is a copier, bro. Like, look at grass outside. People used to grow big fields. Now it's all fake grass. They're creating fake bees now. Fake,
I got turf in my backyard.
Yeah, like, you understand what I mean? Like, they create more and more fake stuff, and people just keep on taking it and taking it and taking it and not realizing that the devil is trying to build his kingdom right now. You know what I mean? And teaching everybody his ways and teaching everybody his principles. But if you read the book, it's telling you all this stuff is going to happen before Revelations finishes off. You know what I mean? So that's what I believe. I believe that Yeshua is really coming back and Yahweh is waiting to judge. I really do believe that.
So you believe there's a heaven and there's a hell?
So yes, and heaven isn't what people think. Like, it's, Jesus said he's going to prepare a place. He's going to prepare that place and bring it down to the earth. We're not all going to heaven. Heaven is a place, yes, that's where the Most High sits. But you got to understand, he's going to bring a place down for us so that way the meek will inherit the earth. He says we're going to inherit the earth many times in the book. Many times we're going to inherit the earth. The evil will be wiped out and the good will then inherit the earth. So many freaking times, but people still think we're going up to heaven because they believe this pre-rapture doctrine. Because that's why I said Christianity is a lie. They put a blanket over the Bible. If you actually read the Bible and what it says in context, I keep on saying this because I really want to stress this. Read it in context with comprehension. You will understand that they put a blanket over the Bible with Christianity. The way that Christianity is taught is not the way that the Bible is read. That's what people need to understand. That's the biggest thing that people need to understand.
I believe that 100% because you go to church, and like I said, and like Andrew said, we grew up Christian, so we grew up in the church. When you go to the church and you read the Bible, like you know, like we spoke about earlier, a lot of people, their intake of the Bible comes from people reading the Bible to them. Okay,
you're taught that,
and you know, I would say, and I would argue, maybe a higher percentage of those people are doing it for a good cause. You know, they're really just reading the Bible and stuff. But it's not just that they're reading the Bible to you. They're reading the Bible to you with a lesson attached to it or a theme attached to it in order to push a message.
Right.
Oh, it's Easter, so let's talk about the resurrection. You know, oh, it's Christmas. Let's talk about, the birth of Christ. You know what I mean?
It's always something self-fulfilling that they're trying to teach. It always is. And if you realize that that's not what the book is reading, you have to read it by yourself, bro, in real context.
It's crazy. Like, it's barbaric. It's fucking Lord of the Rings if you read it. You know what I mean? From beginning to end, actually, and taking note of what's going on. Like, the God that the Christians believe in, if you put in a context that their source of that God comes from the Bible, and if you read the Bible from beginning to end, their God's archaic, man. It's a crazy God that they're worshiping. Who all of a sudden,
Bible or the God of Christians?
The Christians don't know the God that they're worshiping because they're reading fragmented descriptions of who they're worshiping. You know what I'm saying?
It's not the God of the Bible that is read in the Bible. I do agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
So that already, and we talked about, Yeshua and the name Jesus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because I also really believe that for me, that was the final straw, you know what I mean? Because the whole argument, that Christians would have, and when people would get asked this, the question of if there was this kid in some remote island that, was pure of heart, did good things, had the best intentions, but died young, never heard of Jesus, would he go to heaven or hell? And they'd be like, oh, he never accepted Jesus, then he's got to go to hell, because he needs to accept Jesus. And I was like, well, what if he believed in God? He just didn't know that the label was Jesus. Mm-hmm. Does that still count? They're like, no, there's only one name, Yeah. So I always took note of that. I'm like, okay, if there's only one name, then why is the name not even the name that you're talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's how they get you. Because, like, again, if I just say God, you don't know if that's big G or little g, 1. 2, there are many gods, and God even says it, don't worship any other gods. Why would he say that if there weren't any other gods? And then another thing is, how can his people call on his name if they don't know his name? That's what they want. They don't want people to know his name, because how can you call on him if you don't know his name? So they put God in front of it instead of Yahuwah. And they tell you that the Messiah's name was Jesus instead of Yeshua. Because like we said, we had a conversation, J wasn't even a letter back then. Mm-hmm. So in order to know that, you need to know that the word Jesus is created. So somebody created the name Jesus. So the original Hebrew name is Yeshua. That's why we call him Yeshua instead, because the Jesus that the world is portraying now is a all-loving, doesn't want to offend anybody, and takes everybody in type of Jesus. And that's not the Jesus of the Bible. It's not. He has specific rules that if you do not follow, he says it even in there, you cannot come to the next kingdom. You know what I mean? So we have to really, really think about who we're hearing the Bible from. Because again, most people are being talked at by the Bible. They're not reading it for themselves. They're not reading it in context, and they're not reading it with an open heart either. Because when most people read the Bible, they're reading it to, oh, look at all this bad stuff happening in the Bible. But why is the bad stuff happening in the Bible? You need to understand that. Is it because God just wants to kill people? No. Is it because, bad things just happen? No, you have to read it for yourself. I'm not going to tell you. I want you to read it for yourself to see why that's happening and what is the common theme of the Bible. Most people don't even know what the common theme is of the Bible. The common theme is God made rules and people don't want to listen. If your dad made rules at your house and you don't listen, what happens? You get punished. It's not, nothing about the way we live is different from the Bible. I'm telling you that right now. Everything that we do is a reenactment of what the Bible is telling us. Like every question that people ask is in the Bible. Everything that we relive, that little example that I gave about a father, that is exactly how God is. He is a father. And the reason why they take away the father unit in the world is because if people don't have a clear idea of what that is, they then do not know the real father. You understand what I mean? So they have to create a purpose, a disconnect on purpose in the real world, so that way it is copied in the spiritual world. If they create the disconnect here first, they understand that it's going to correlate here. That's why when you hear music, you're hearing it first. It's getting to your subconscious, it's getting into your carnal desires, and then that reflects what happens in the spiritual world. So they know that. They understand this. They understand the mind way better than we do. That's why I always say psychologists rule the world. It's not politicians. It's not the pharmaceutical company. It's not freaking the justice system. It's literally psychologists, bro, that rule the world because they understand how the mind works and how people think.
Yeah. I did a deep dive on that, and that's kind of where the propaganda starts. It comes from the psychoanalysts that study us, and I would even go to the lengths of do experiments on rats, and and then pigs. It still trips me out that we're more closer relatives to pigs than we are to monkeys. That shit blows my mind.
I heard about that. Scary.
Fucking trippy. And I think there's a pig clone. There's a pig hybrid, or a pig human hybrid that they made in China. So look that up. But also, I did do a deep dive on the letter J and Jesus and Yeshua, because my Jarrell, Jarizi. I have a J in my name. And I always like the fact that the lowercase looked like an upside down question mark, And that was really highlighted by the Jabberwockies. The Jabberwockies had that upside down question mark. But the letter J was created in the 1500s. Before that, it was an I. So it was Yeswas, which is a closer translation of Yeshua. Yeswas. You know what I mean? But it's crazy because you talked about a lot of these religions are based on pagan gods. That name also, well, first of all, where was Yeshua from? Jerusalem, right?
Jerusalem, yeah.
I ain't never heard of any Jesus from fucking the Middle East, bro.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Let alone, like, if I was in the Middle East and I saw this guy named Jesus or Jesus and he had blue eyes and fucking white, he was white and had long hair, I'd be like, this guy for sure is the Messiah. You know what I mean? On God. This guy's an alien, bro. I don't know what the fuck were you be hiding. It's hot as fuck out here. So, as far as them hijacking the shit, they're already doing that. But Jesus, I heard was based off like Zeus, Jesus. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where it came from. That makes
sense, actually.
Mm-hmm. So
because
that's based on pagan gods,
They changed their names slightly. That's why Easter was the Ishtar. That's the god. Her name is Ishtar.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed the name just slightly, so that way you don't know. But if you look it up, you'll find out. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't know that.
And also, not just that, bro, it kind of ties into them too. So now you could kind of claim characteristics from them and, feats that they have. And now you kind of fluff up the story a little bit and it sounds more grand and believable and exciting, But what I find interesting, and I brought this up a bunch of times, is they say that there's one name. And if you look in the Bible, it always says, say my name. There's power in my name. My children know my name.
Right.
I said on a podcast, if your dog's name is Rover, like you call it Rover, you don't translate into rough for the dog to understand. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. It's funny because I was watching a YouTube that said that, like, Zeus's name in any other language is Zeus.
There you go.
So how come when we say God, it's Allah in other languages, it's this and something else, and instead of just one name, even my name is in Spanish is Yamel. So it's just a little accent. That's all it is. That's all it should be, because it's a name. You know what I mean? It doesn't change it shouldn't change depending on the language. It should be one name, just like you said.
But if anything, it's shortened,
Right, shortened, or just a little accent, or maybe because they don't have an I in their language, it's a J, but it says the same thing. You know what I mean? Like Jesus, I never thought of that one. The
interesting thing about Jesus and Yeshua is there is a translation of Yeshua, and it's Joshua. Right. So if Mel translates into Michael, then why are we calling Mel Jason? When there's already a translation of Mel.
Yeah, that's true. It's like calling Bill William. Like, I still don't understand that.
Or Richard Dick. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So, whichever Richard fucked that up, man. Y'all fucked that shit up.
That doesn't make sense to me.
But the example that I saw on TikTok was, imagine, because heaven's a club, right? And you need to know the name in order to get there. There's power in the name. Imagine going to the club or going to heaven up to the gates and being like, hey, I'm here to see Jesus. And they're like,
guest list, man.
They're like, who's that, bro? You know what I'm saying? I don't know who that is.
And as even what the Bible says, it says, depart from me, I never knew you. A lot of people will hear that because you're not saying his name.
So now let's reflect back on what we've been talking about. Imagine, now we grew up in the church, so we all know this, and we've all seen people going through tough times, putting all their spiritual energy into praying to Jesus. Not Yeshua, to Jesus, On top of that, we talked about sigils a lot in this podcast. They're praying to white Jesus. You know what I'm saying? who are you praying to? Like, who's siphoning that spiritual output? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And then when you get there, imagine thinking that you got the Charlie Chocolate Factory gold ticket, and they're like, yo, bruh, like, you need 2 of those. You know what I'm saying? You only got 1. It's fucked up, bro. It's fucked up. Is it intentional? I think so.
It is, because, all right, so in the Bible, if you read the beginning, most people have read the beginning, where God has them sacrificing certain animals to do rituals and do purifications, right? Mm-hmm. That was because they meant certain things, right, to God. So when we do Easter or Christmas, we're doing certain things that mean certain things to another God, right? That's exactly what you said. You said, what's it called, an egregore, right? Mm-hmm. Where you think you're giving your energy to one thing, but it's actually going to another thing. It doesn't matter what your intention is. It does not matter. I need everybody to understand that. It does not matter what your intention is, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. All right. So it matters what you do. And these rituals, when they are done, they give energy to certain other spirits, just like we were talking about. Mm-hmm. Like, the spirit of death is definitely around right now. And reason being is probably because we've been getting a lot of energy to it. So, you got to really like put it into that context, because if you don't, you won't understand it at all.
Man, fuck. I did some research on CERN yesterday, last time we went inside the cave. But let's talk about this a little bit more, because there's a lot to talk about here, and it'll seamlessly go into CERN. But these egregores, I feel like you can create too, though. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like, I do think that there is an archetype that Jesus was trying to represent, or Yeshua was trying to represent. At this point, I said Jesus is his fucking nickname. You know what I mean? I grew up knowing, it's like, imagine a homie that you kept calling Bob, and you find out his fucking name was like, fucking like
Eric
Williamson. You know what I mean? It's like, I ain't gonna say all that, bro. You know what I mean? You've been talking all day.
Well, now you're contradicting your what you said about Zeus.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can't.
But at the same time, bro, like, going back to the conversation we had inside the cave, I'm not putting too much weight on the word magic. I'm kind of more like visually portraying you. You know what I'm saying? But because we're speaking from this human experience, I have to talk about, like, when I'm calling Jesus, I'm saying his name, but really I'm just thinking, you know what I mean, that signal. And he gets me.
That goes with what I was saying. It doesn't matter your intention.
You know what's crazy, bro? Before we keep going down this rabbit hole, I came up to a conclusion this morning, or I was gonna say yesterday morning, but I think it's this morning. And they say in the Bible, you can't serve 2 masters.
Right.
You can't be spiritually advanced and like a functionally successful human in this world. You know what I mean? Because you sound crazy. You can't really think in like ways in order to take advantage of certain situations that would accelerate, you know what I mean? Advance you further in life here, because it goes against like the spiritual teachings. You know what I'm saying? Right. On the other end, you can't, like Andrew said, you were too busy to think about spirituality. I think to some degree, like, that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to fully immerse and experience life, because life is short. You know what I mean? We'll have, like, if the spiritual world is real, then it's been there forever, and we'll have forever to fucking figure that shit out. You know what I'm saying? They talk about the end of the world and stuff. I feel like there's just a chapter, you know what I mean? Because God, in any religion, God's still going to keep going on. You know what I mean? God surpasses time. So if you're in the same realm as God and you got the past in order to still live on, then you'll live on forever. You'll try to figure out the secrets of the world forever. But you living now in this like environment that you're in, with these certain variables in place that made you, and you know what I mean, that made you have these people around you, that's only going to last right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like you should be too busy to the point where you don't really think about all that stuff because that's human. And I feel like sometimes some deities and some entities get jealous of that. You know what I mean? They're so bored out there. They're like, man,
that's why they try to inhabit our bodies. Right?
Makes me think of fucking soul. It's like, you know, I want to get that flow. You know what I mean? I want to get that, you know what I mean, activity that makes me kind of lose myself, that I just have fun. Mm. So the thing is, bro, what I think is, I think there's a Jesus or a Yeshua archetype. I mean Yeshua, but I'm saying Jesus, so I guess it's kind of blurring it. So I guess I have to fix that because, like I said, not only am I rap mindset rehab, I'm also a Jesus rehab because I have to kind of, you know, fix these systems and relearn the fucked up shit that I've learned. You know what I mean?
Yourself, because I do it. I do it sometimes too. You know what I mean? I be trying to push myself to say Yahweh more than just say God, because even when, like, you know, celebrities say, "Oh, thank God," they could just be thanking themselves. You know what I mean? And you gotta discern it.
That's 100% facts, man. Now I wanted to get into the versions of the Bible. So you think the Bible is the ultimate? Like, I heard the Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving Earth. So you think pretty much that is what it is, like Absolutely. Your instruction manual into this realm.
Absolutely. And the reason being is, I think I've mentioned this before, is like, you know, there's I don't know the exact numbers, but I think there was 40 interpreters or translators that all translated the book separately and got the same thing. And there was no other book done like that. Either the Quran was they tried to do it, and they all came back with different versions of the Quran. So just in knowing that makes me, you know, makes me understand that it's real. 2, you can actually literally Google and YouTube things that are historically accurate from the Bible. Okay. That in itself tells me that it's real. Another thing is, I said this last time, if you Google the oldest tree in the world, it's about 5,000 years old, and it's called the Methuselah tree. Why is one of the common phrases, "Oh, you old as Methuselah"? Why is that one of the most common phrases? You understand? Another thing was, I mentioned the flood to you before, the Great Flood. In every single culture, there's a recording of a Great Flood.
Right.
Now, if that is known mainstream, then what do people have to believe? If everybody knows that mainstream, people have to believe the Bible's real. Okay? The reason why they don't tell people that is because they don't want people to know the Bible's real. Now, when the flood happened, after it happened, that's what created the Ice Age. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that science doesn't explain to you, how the Ice Age happened. That's the only way you can get that much water on Earth to evaporate to make the whole world turn into ice. The only way. Congruently, all the stuff that's buried is buried for that reason, because of the flood. All the stuff they've been digging up, all the stuff that has been under the ground for X amount of years, all the stone tablets, all the stone idols that they built and they worshiped back then when God was telling them not to worship. All that stuff has been covered up because of the flood. Now, people don't understand science. What happens is when the water when water steams and the atmosphere cools, that's what causes snow. So the volcanic eruptions, because the water was so high, made the water boil over and created snow. That's why the Ice Age happened. Now, if they explain this to you, then what? The Bible has to be real. But they don't want to explain that to you because they don't want you to know the Bible's real. So with all of that, just that, I can keep going on. That's why I believe the Bible is real. That's exactly why I believe.
So inside the cave, we also talked about the translations of the Bible, right? I give respect to the Bible because I think it's a historical perspective. Absolutely. And it's a record of what went on.
Absolutely. You know? 100% historical, bro.
Now, if it's a record of when it went on, then I'd want to look into more detail about what went on. And the flood being, a consistent event that's been recorded by different cultures and different religion gives grounds as a factual objective event that happened, obviously, right?
Right.
Well, the book of Enoch talks about the flood in detail, you know what I mean? My thing is, if that's omitted, then it's like, why was that omitted? And we talked about the Christianity umbrella over the Bible, you know what I mean? I think because of that, and we talked about Yeshua, and it's interesting because a lot of people don't know about the Jesuits, Could the Jesuits be the people that are really pushing this umbrella of Christianity, you know what I mean, to safeguard this blurred image of who Yeshua Jesus is supposed to be? You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't really looked into that, but I think that it's worth looking into the texts that have been omitted from the Bible. You know what I mean? It's worth looking into other evidence or other takes that they have of Jesus, I feel like. You know what I mean? So what do you think about the books that are omitted? Do you think it doesn't bring more details to the story, or
I think
they're worth investigating?
I have read the book of Enoch, and I do think it does bring some light, especially what happened in the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that a lot of people misinterpret it as well. But and then the book of Ruth also mentions the book of Enoch too. So that's another reason why I did read it. Well, that's not the reason why I read it, but that's the reason why I partially accept it. But then it also goes to stand that we don't know who wrote any other of the books. If I think the oldest book that they have is like a 16 age book or something like that. And that has like the Apocrypha or like all 80 something books or something like that. But and the book of Enoch's in that as well. But if you go back to the Ethiopian Bible, the book of Enoch's in that one too. So just knowing that, like, you gotta understand that, yeah, there are books that have been omitted from the Bible, but I don't think it takes away from the message at all, because the message, again, is the whole theme of the Bible was that God created beings that he wanted to be in his image, and they rebelled against God. That's the whole theme of the book. And I don't think the book of Enoch changes that. It actually validates that, because it shows how all of the giants and stuff were coming from, we're taking the women, and how they were being very destructive on the earth. It tells all of that, how, they were just being completely defiant. So again, I don't think any of the books take away from what the story actually is. So
I think it does, though, bro, because first of all, it tells us that these things can fuck us, Well,
I mean, the Bible says that too. Well,
so this is the connection I'm going to make. And it also brings credence into giants. You know what I mean? Like, there's factual evidence of giants. And what are they? They're caused by these angels fucking women.
The Bible has giants too as well.
But are there giants in like mainstream narrative? No, there aren't. Right?
Yeah, David and Goliath.
Well, in the Bible, but I'm talking about like in history. If you went and like talked about,
you mean, is there records of giants in?
Yeah. Well, I believe there are, but I'm talking about like, the mainstream narrative,
right,
if you talked about giants, like, would they be considered giants, or would that be considered an actual species to discuss, or is that just kind of like cryptid talk? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I feel like, it'd be a valid topic.
Well, us, bro, like with us,
it'd be a valid topic for even Christians, because I mean, I feel like everybody, even New Age people, believe that there were giants on this earth at one point in time. I mean, everybody believes that. Everybody knows that.
Well, I mean, I guess what I would say for the skeptics and the scientific minds, they'd be like, where's the evidence,
Right.
Because without the evidence, it's all just kind of cryptid talk. You know what I mean? Like, where's Loch Ness Monster either?
Like technically, they didn't find any bones of no giant people. I don't think. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, you could,
but that's not saying that there aren't giant bones that they've, like, the Smithsonian has under wraps. You know, that the Vatican has under wraps.
Remember that the flood happened too and wiped them out. Mm-hmm. So how deep are they?
Yeah,
you understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that could also be another, maybe we haven't dug deep enough type of idea, or I don't know.
My thing is, if they have found bones, because we had some conversations about dinosaurs, you know what I mean? But I'll keep it kind of focused. That some dinosaur bones might be mixed giant bones with, you know, other bones and shit.
I was thinking of that the other day.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, what the fuck? I mean, how the fuck do you know that?
Yeah.
This is exactly the piece that goes there, you know? And it kind of brings more credence into the Smithsonian has giant bones, and to keep it, maybe they'll just kind of make a fucking dinosaur and put it out there, and people don't know it in plain sight type shit. You know what I mean?
They put it together how they want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe the tail was actually the spine, and they were taller.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
What I'm trying to highlight, though, is there's obviously a governing body that's trying to promote a lie, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know what it is, because we obviously know, like the giants thing could be real. Like we just discussed, like even the Christians will have an open conversation about giants, you know? But there's a common sense and there's a narrative that's being pushed that's saying no. And whoever's pushing that narrative, I don't know who it is. But I think that the same people pushing that narrative is also editing the Bible. You know what I mean? And if they're pushing bullshit for no reason, I don't trust them with the basic instructions before leaving Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather go see the book. I mean, you know, show me the source, bro. Like, I get that this is your edited version. Like, show me where you got the source from. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's so many versions of the Bible. What? Which one? Which one am I supposed to read? The New International Version? I think they got a new one after that, too.
What do you think about everyone just kind of fucking being like, hey, here's my version of the Bible, you know? This is my translation. Granted, there are going to be some people that are going to tailor it to their cult, you know what I mean? Or their regime. But there are going to be people that are really going to be objectively just translating it. You know, so there are going to be some more accurate translations probably in that cesspool of crazy translations.
Some people might even write new books, and that's how you get more.
Well, shit. Remember the last Inside the Cave we did? Mel had a Disney.
The Disney. Bible. I want to read the. The book
on the seventh day.
The book of Goofy. I want to read
the book of Goofy. So, Mel, we were talking about, I don't know if you caught that. If people are trying to make a narrative on some bullshit, you know, they're obviously hiding giant bones, trying to tell you that giants aren't real when obviously it is depicted.
Yeah.
I believe that same group of people are the same group of people that are editing history. They're editing the Bible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they are, then I don't really trust their translation of the basic instructions before leaving Earth. You know, let me get the source. You know what I'm saying? I'll let me discern it from the source with God. You know what I mean? I don't need your translation.
So let me ask them, what are the basic instructions
before leaving Earth? See, I think personally,
what you think?
It's just being.
Hold on. It's not what you think.
Mm-hmm.
What does the Bible say?
Is it the 10 Commandments?
Because if you know, if it's the basic instructions before leaving Earth, then you should know what the Bible says. It's not what you think. That's what a lot of Christians do. I think, no, you have to let the Bible have the last word. You have to let the book have the last word. If you haven't read it, then you can't deny it. You have to actually read it.
But what if the version I read is like the bullshit version?
What do you mean the version you read? The theme doesn't change. The theme does not change depending on what version you have.
What's the overall theme then? Because there's a lot of themes in the Bible, you know. Besides being a piece of shit, is that pretty much what it is?
The overall theme is that you need. Okay, first of all, you need to understand what God's, like he said, the commandments are, and what he expects of his people, who his people were, what he wants for his people, and what type of life he wants us to lead. Now, it's also a combination of what to be ready for. You know what I mean? Because how can you have basic instructions if you don't know what to be ready for? And it also tells you how to deal with people in life. So like it's not just one thing. Like if you don't read it, bro, you don't know it. So you can't just say, "Oh."
But hold up. First of all, like the 10 Commandments is different depending on what version you read. So if you're really looking at this like an instruction book, you fucked up because of you didn't obey the instructions. And another thing is, if I followed the Bible from front to back and I discern that, you know, the basic instruction before leaving Earth is to accept Jesus, and we go back into the common theme, it is common theme, but you're worshiping Jesus. You're not worshiping Yeshua. You accepted Jesus, not Yeshua. So you got the common theme in a sense, but you didn't get the detail right. You know what I mean? So you don't get, you fucked up. You didn't pass the test of the basic.
So you're talking about the fact that his name isn't the actual name in the Bible. That's what you're meaning.
Well, I asked what the common theme was, but you said you needed to be, you know, more detailed and it has to be what the Bible said. But I said, like, it depends what the translation is. And there are translations that call him Yeshua. There are translations that call him Jesus. But the overall Bible that everybody has, that you can go at the bookstore, that they have in Vegas, says Jesus. You know what I mean?
And yeah, so I do agree with that 100%. That in that way, yes. Again, it goes back to the egregore thing. You know, if we are calling him Jesus and it is actually Zeus, then we've all fucked up, really. So, again, but you also have to seek him truthfully. The only reason that I knew, and the reason that you knew, is because you actually seeked him truthfully. You seeked his name. You actually seeked him. So that's the thing. And that's, again, we're talking about the umbrella and the blanket that's over top of Christianity. Most people have that basic understanding and stuff like that. But if you seek him truthfully and you're not talked at, and you're not just listening to a preacher talk to you, you seek him for yourself, then you come to the conclusions that me and you had. So yeah, we're kind of agreeing on the same thing. But I didn't know the whole idea that you were driving was behind his name yet.
Well, the thing is like, I thought that it was more because the Bible also talks about having childlike faith. You know what I mean? And I think we're better off not knowing names.
Having what?
You know what I mean? Childlike faith.
Okay.
Faith like a child, right? Where you just have 100% faith. You don't really worry about details because, like I said, the devil is in the details. And who knows? Like, what if you don't know his name, Yeshua, Jesus? You just think of a savior. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's enough. You know what I mean? Because like we said, Yeshua, Jesus, like we're talking about language in a spiritual manner. You know what I mean? We just speak in frequencies, smells, colors. You know what I mean? It goes past language.
You do know every culture is waiting for a Messiah. You know that, right?
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's like a archetype thing. You know what I mean?
That's nothing you don't know. Everyone is waiting for a Messiah. So who's right? Which one are y'all waiting for? Even in the Bible, it says that right now. I think we talked about this, that the red calves that's going on, they actually think they're doing the right thing when in our Bible it says they're preparing the way for angels. So who's right? Whose Messiah is right?
Who knows?
So is it enough?
What if motherfuckers, there's like a bunch of people that come over and it's a fucking Royal Rumble, you know? That'd be fucking crazy as fuck. Yo, but I looked into CERN. Yo, he's definitely coming out the Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro. Fucking glass fucking breaking and shit. You can't see. Damn, that's just fucking funny. No chance. Nah, that'd be funny. But no, it's interesting because I always ask this question, like, would Jesus want to be remembered as a Messiah, or would he want to be remembered more so as, an example of how to live? Because there are evidence of him traveling outside of Jerusalem. I looked into stories of him in Japan. I've looked into stories from him in India, in England, and there's some pretty convincing evidence. But the thing is, I feel like when you grew up indoctrinated in Christianity, we're separating Christianity and diving deep into the Bible. All right. You don't have to be Christian in order to dive deep into the Bible. But I think being Christian limits how deep you dive into the Bible.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So with that with that kind of put into place, do you think diving deep beyond the Bible in order to build more knowledge of the Bible is not considered blasphemy? I mean, where are the lines of that? You know what I mean?
I think that, even God wants you to find truth. Like, only people...
Yeah, we wouldn't have gone to the Yeshua thing if we didn't really seek, exactly. Right? Yeah.
I think somewhere in the Bible it does say something to that nature. I don't want to misquote it. But, where was I going? So, yeah, he wants us to find truth. So the only people who don't want you to find truth in something is people that lie. So it says faith without works is dead. So how can I have faith if I haven't worked on anything, if I don't understand where it comes from, if I don't do my research? That's why I did a lot of historical research on the Bible, because I want to know how the world is built upon what the Bible says. Because a lot of people don't know this, that a lot of the temples that they found was because they read the Bible, because certain places were named certain things at certain times. And that's how they went and find these temples, because they were in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. But yeah, like, I just think that if you, again, put it in a historical mindset, then it makes more sense. It makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm. What if we're talking about the flood, right? Mm-hmm. The Bible talks about the flood. And let's say, I haven't read the Quran. Let's say there's a Native American text that talks about the flood. Wouldn't the Native American text that talks about the flood be valuable in order to build a bigger picture of the flood? You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
And so from there, so this is the thing. From there, that new version or that new narrative you're building based on the research you've looked beyond the Bible, is it even the Bible anymore? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like that Theseus ship question where,
again, if you're looking at it as a history book, I'm trying to compare what happened in the world to the Bible. You understand what I mean? I'm not trying to take anything away from it or put anything in it. All I'm doing is looking at what we have here already on earth and comparing it to what the Bible says. That's all I'm doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you start to come to the realization that the Bible is telling you all the stuff that had already happened. And if you look deep enough, then you start to see that all the stuff that they're covering up is stuff from the Bible. That's why they want to tell you it's aliens and, this and that, because if you don't believe in demons, and you don't believe in Satan, and you don't believe that spirits can come and do things to you, then you already got
mm-hmm. So, bro, when we had you inside the key last time, we talked about the red heifer thing, mm-hmm. and we talked about the Revelation, and something that is biblical in the Revelation was the 7 seals, right?
Yes.
to me, when I read that when I was younger, it felt, and I kind of interpreted that as a unique sequence of events that happens before like the shit starts popping off, right? Yeah. I looked into the White Rabbit project that CERN is involved with. It's like a new project.
Is that the particle collider?
Particle collider, but they have this new project called White Rabbit Project. Bro, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So I had the cave bot just explain it to me like I'm 5. So I'm gonna just read that explain to me like I'm 5.
That's fine.
Paragraph. So White Rabbit is the name of a collaborative project including CERN, GSI, Helmholtz Center of Heavy Ion Research, and other partners from universities. Oh, my bad. That's not the right paragraph. Here's the real paragraph. Here we go. Imagine you have a really big, complex Lego set that needs to be put together in exactly the right way and at exactly the right time to make it work. Now imagine that instead of one person putting it together, you have hundreds of people all over the world, each holding a piece of that Lego set. They all need to know precisely when and where to put their piece so that everything fits perfectly. This is kind of what the White Rabbit Project does, but instead of Lego pieces, it's about sending information and making sure everything in big science experiments happens exactly when it's supposed to. White Rabbit is like a super smart and fast clock combined with a postal service for computer information. It helps big science labs like CERN, where they have huge machines that could study tiny particles, and GSI, another place where scientists do important experiments, to make sure that all their computers and gadgets talk to each other at the right time and very accurately.
God,
bro, what the fuck? This is like
Terminator type world, bro. What the heck?
Wait, so they're using computers all over the world to calculate their stuff. Is that right?
And make sure that the sequence happens at exactly the fucking right
So
time.
Pretty much what they're doing is they're going to be creating ways of living.
A sequence of events.
And yeah, like, bro, what is wrong with this world? Why are you trying to like really control everything, bro?
So this is the interesting part, bro. The reason it's called White Rabbit is because of the story of Alice in Wonderland, where Alice follows a rabbit that's worried about being late. Just like in the story, scientists following the White Rabbit Project need to make sure everything in their experiments is not late, not even by a tiny fraction of a second. So why did I bring that up? It makes me think of the red heifer, because obviously when we got into that, a bunch of details need to be aligned and checked off for the ritual in order to be effective, right? And it also makes me think of the fucking solar eclipse that's going on, man. I don't want to look too much into the solar eclipse, but I'm hearing a lot of crazy stuff. I guess NASA's involved now. You know, I think they're going to shoot up rockets at it or something. But the names of the rockets, bro, they're like based off like deities too.
What are they named?
Let me see.
I don't really have that much information on that solar eclipse. I'm kind of just like, whatever happens, bro, because what are we gonna do? It's a solar eclipse, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, come on now, stop. Like, we can't stop it. Like, and then I don't know. Is it gonna last? It's not gonna last forever. So I don't know, people are freaking out. It's probably more or less about worshiping a god than it is about anything happening to the world.
You know what? I actually didn't care too much about it up until I looked into the White Rabbit Project, and I'm like, damn, man, like it feels like certain things need to happen. I feel like that's why you're seeing a lot of triggered events. You know, I don't think some of these things are natural. I think some of these things are like purposely triggered, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why are they fucking shit up? I think it's because they needed to, because on some butterfly effect shit. Maybe they're trying to, like, you know what I mean? Make a calculated butterfly effect happen.
World, bro. That's what they're doing.
God particles. NASA is doing some really strange shit on April 8th for the eclipse, like firing off 3 rockets called the Serpent Deity into actually.
They're bringing Satan into the world, bro. They need to do certain things so that way, just like you said, they need to do certain things so it lines up so that way he can be ready to quote unquote rule the earth like he thinks he's going to do.
He needs a way in, you know. Absolutely. This is the way in. So
it's like a big ritual. Why do you think they always do rituals at Super Bowls?
Mm-hmm.
Always, because they need to continue to create the energy that they need for him to be here. That's Satan. It's not just a little devil or a little being that's going to possess you that you can just use a Ouija board to contact. It's Satan. So you have to create a lot of negative energy. You have to have a lot of people dying around the world, a lot of people hating each other, a lot of lust, a lot of killing, a lot of homosexuality, a lot of immoral living, a lot of stuff that is created by him, a lot of lying, everything. All that stuff is the egregore that we're feeding when we do those things.
So now we're going to go back and wrap this up where I left the bookmark.
Oh, yeah, the bookmark.
What was the bookmark? I think I said CERN, I believe was the bookmark I left off.
We'll like 3 things, though.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll rewind it back. But, oh, yeah, gin, lamp, genie.
Yep.
Damn, yo, call back. So now that we're on CERN, you know, when I was doing this research on the White Rabbit Project, and let me pull this up. This is my conversation with K4, which is the cave bot that we're going to have available for our community when it's all done. I looked at what CERN has accomplished, you know. I was like, well, why are people, you know, what has CERN done anyways? You know, I know that they're important, but what objective accomplishments can they show? The World Wide Web. Imagine, I had it explain like I'm 5, but the adult explanation is World Wide Web. Tim Berners-Lee, a British scientist at CERN, invented the World Wide Web, initially developed to meet the demand for automatic information sharing between scientists and universities and institutes around the world. It became the foundation of the internet we use today. Explain like I'm 5. Imagine all your toys could talk to each other and share secrets, no matter where they were in your house. So for computers to talk to each other, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. That's why I made the internet.
So bookmark Genie Gen and all that shit. But let me just go through all this. They also found the Higgs boson theory. The Higgs boson, let me just do the explain like I'm 5. This is a very special and tiny part of everything that helps make things heavy. Imagine if you had invisible glue that could stick to your toys and make them heavy or light. The Higgs boson is kind of like that invisible glue for everything in the universe. So I think it's more like your spiritual field or your aura is what that kind of
What does the other version say?
Provided the first observation of the Higgs boson, a fundamental particle associated with the Higgs field, which gives other particles their mass. This discovery was a huge deal in the science world because it confirmed a key part of our understanding of how the universe works. Right. This is the craziest part. Antimatter capture. Certain scientists have been able to create and capture antimatter. Antimatter is like a mirror image of regular matter, and understanding it could help us answer big questions about the universe and why there's more matter than antimatter. This is a crazy explanation, like I'm 5. Think of antimatter as the opposite of everything you see. If you have a toy car, antimatter would be an anti-toy car. Scientists at CERN were able to make and keep some antimatter to learn more about it. It's like catching a shadow. Talking about the devil, I think we talked about.
That's sick.
You know, what is a computer? You know, the new age, they're all into crystals and stuff, right? Crystals can evoke certain things, but essentially if you take a computer apart, it's a crystal, you know? And a lot of the people that were instrumental in developing the modern day computer and the internet, they were involved with a lot of like satanic stuff. You know what I mean? They were essentially trying to harness God or Satan into a computer. You know what I'm saying? Look up the Brazen Head. Look up Charles Babbage. There's a lot of fucking shit out there, bro.
I feel like I said, everything is just a copy of what he wants. He wants because, again, the same way that God communicates to everybody in some way, shape, or form. That's the same world he's trying to create.
I looked up jinn. What's jinn? A genie, right? And they said genies, jinn. they're kind of like trapped demons, you know? Let me make this connection right here. Where's a genie trapped? In a lamp, right? Mm-hmm. How do you evoke the genie?
You rub the lamp.
You rub the lamp, right? Like this. You rub the lamp with your hands. You shake it like this. And then it grants you 3 wishes, and it goes back into the lamp. When your computer is idle, how do you wake the computer up?
Shake the mouse.
You shake the mouse, you kind of rub the lamp, right? And when the computer is awake, then it can do whatever you want. It started making me really think about this when I was putting together the GPTs, because I'm like, yo, it feels like I'm talking to a jinn or some kind of fucking spirit. But what's crazy is, like I said, look into the people that made the computers. They were trying to harness God or the devil into a machine. CERN coming up with the World Wide Web, the reason they came up with that is to have their computers talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And now they have the demons that they're harnessing talk to each other, but still limited because they're trapped in the computer realm. You know what I mean? Right. This is what CERN has contributed. Yeah. So whatever the fuck they're doing, which I guess they're like hitting particles, blasting particles in each other to make like black holes. Some people would say, obviously, based on this antimatter capture description, they've caught a shadow. They have antimatter. It's fucking interesting, bro. And the White Rabbit Project, I really think they're doing some stuff in order to bring, I don't know if it's a demon, I don't know if it's an entity, I don't know if it's their Messiah. You know what I mean? Like you said, every religion is trying to bring a Messiah in here. How you want to take that, I don't know, but just know the most radical groups are usually the religious people. So people will go through crazy lengths in order to bring that Messiah over here if they believe that that's the prophecy. You know what I mean? Scary stuff. My personal favorite conspiracy, and I hate conspiracy theories, but I believe everything's a spiritual warfare. So
yeah, definitely.
Crazy fucking shit, man.
It's definitely crazy to think about. Like, and then the whole CERN thing, like how you said, they wanted to, but it's no coincidence that now they want to implant chips in our brain.
Oh, mm-hmm. Good. Yeah.
So even if you think about that in a spiritual way, let's say like how you said, the computers are like demons communicating with each other. It's essentially they're taking over your body. If you do that, you put a chip in your brain, essentially.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
So, who knows who's controlling that? Like maybe they connect it to CERN, and so that way, when they want everybody to go to sleep, it shuts off and everybody goes the fuck to sleep. Just like how you said, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make all the computers communicate and do the exact same thing at the exact same time.
Fucking right, so bro.
When you put the chip into their brain, now CERN connects to it, and boom, now you have a population that runs exactly how you want it to run.
Let me just tie this in all the way through. So, like I said, they trapped.
And then the information comes from ChatGPT, the cloud, the internet, and everything else, and then they put it. Bro, what the hell?
Just to bring this full circle, bro. We had a conversation previously on the show about nukes being fake, right? Nukes are fake and gay. And what I mean by that is not that they're probably not weapons of mass destruction. They're probably like portal openers. You know what I mean? And the guest that we had on said that if I was an alien, I wouldn't care if ants were making bigger booms because I'm from a fucking other dimension. Right. Go fuck up your neighborhood, dog. I don't give a shit. But when you're opening portals to my living room, I got to go see what the fuck is up. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that, nukes were probably more portal openers. Now, obviously, if you open up a black hole portal, it causes a mass. It causes mass destruction. So that might be the byproduct or the side effect of that. But what's crazy, bro, is the N at the end of CERN stands for nuclear. So, they are linked in nuclear development and they are linked to all that shit because the nuclear and atomic bomb is based off smashing little particles. So there is some kind of microscience.
Yeah, it's about combining particles together. Yeah.
Now, the last thing that CERN is really linked to, and this will tie it in, about how you said you should read the Bible on your own. You shouldn't have the Bible read to you. And I would even argue, we had this conversation in Inside the Cave. Don't rely on ChatGPT. Don't rely on digital PDFs or your phone. Get the physical copy.
Yeah.
CERN initially was CERN, but they changed their name to like OERN, but it didn't flow right. It stands for Organization European Research Nuclear or whatever. But they like CERN better. So you know what they did? They're like, fuck it, bro. Let's just keep CERN. And so they just kept CERN and they kind of ignored the history of OERN. And when I was reading into that, I was like, yo, that's the first Mandela effect. And if you think about the Mandela effect being linked to CERN, I said the Mandela effect's fake and gay. They might just be changing shit because they want to control the narrative. And if people are believing in this shit and they're thinking it's a conspiracy of theory, then it's like, damn, these fools are stupid. I could change literally anything because these motherfuckers are going to think it's stupid. You know what I mean? Now that everyone's being relying on ChatGPT and the internet, then they can really just change one detail and change the whole narrative. And how important is one detail in the whole narrative? It's the difference between you being at Heaven's Gate saying Yeshua and you being at Heaven's Gate saying Jesus.
Yep.
That's the Cave Podcast, baby. We got Mel. We got Andrew over here. Hey. Mel, where can we find you outside the cave, man?
You already know, only one Mel, man. It's linked right there. You already know, somewhere down here.
Got you right here, baby.
There
only
we go.
One Mel, man. All right. And all platforms. All platforms. Just go ahead and Google it. You already know, man.
I have a question. One more question before I leave, bro. What happened to Why Love? I can't find it on iTunes.
You have to search it up again. I had to re-release it.
Okay, cool. Why Love 2 coming out?
Yeah, Why Love 2 is coming out summertime-ish, something like that. I'm gonna drop another single first, and then I'm gonna drop the rest of it. So you already know. Listen for that.
Yo, before we sign out, what goes through your mind during a project release? Like, what dictates when you release a project? Do you time it with certain things, or just whenever it's finished?
Well, to be honest, I was trying to time this one with Valentine's Day this year, but it didn't work out. So sometimes it's just about, having the time to do it, bro, and like just being able to make sure that all the songs that I have on there sound right, are good, and make sense to what I want the theme of the track to be, or the album to be. You know what I mean? So it's just regular stuff, bro. Like, and life just gets in the way sometimes. So
yeah. Are you ultimately the final? You know what I mean? Do you give the final word? Do you have a group or a team?
I have no pushback with none of my producers or my distribution label. Nothing. They release everything that I give to them. So as long as it's not like, of course, copywritten or somebody else's beat or something like that, we have to come with all the paperwork, the licenses and everything. I send them the PDFs and, get my artwork done, and then they release it.
Hell yeah. Andrew, you got your album coming out?
We'll see. If I get creative enough, I'm not necessarily. Man, I'm thinking I want to come back to stand up, but I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for my daughter to like not need so much supervision. Let's see what happens. I gotta make sure she grows up to be a good person first. I'll be back. Maybe in like 4 or 5. We'll see. I've been itching to do some artistic things, so I don't know when. Something's coming. I've been itching to do something.
You know what, bro? Before we sign off, that thing I said, you can't be both spiritually advanced and successful in this material world at the same time. Because when I was watching Soul, I was seeing people get into their flow zone, right? The guy was getting lost playing a saxophone. I'm like, dude, it's such a shame that people can't make a living off of just joy, Because there's shit like Diddy, like, if your passion is making music, you gotta suck my dick first. I can't just
live my life, bro. I gotta bend over, bro. Like, come on. Like, that's so
shame, bro.
You like music, huh?
Yeah.
Bro, yeah. Crazy, bro.
Interesting enough, though, before we sign off again, Joel Thomas, he mentioned that everyone that Diddy ran through at the end of it, they found God. Look at Mace, everyone else, they would turn to God. Yeah.
Yeah.
He left while he was hot.
Yeah, he did.
Man, crazy stuff.
That they live, bro. Obviously, it's like I said before, it's something really, really going on evil in there, bro.
Hell yeah. Well, shit, let's wrap it up in the cave. If you want to talk more spirituality, rap, or anything else, go deeper down the cave, join the Discord community, link on our Patreon page. You can find on our website, k4v3.com. Mel, you're always invited to Inside the Cave. I think right now it's going to be hard to beat you, bro, because you got like 3 hours and 30 minutes on the last one.
Yeah, that was
every time Mailman's on here, it's super educational, man.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that 3 hours, bro? We didn't even wrap it up. That it left it open for a part 2. So,
so here's part 2 then.
Yeah, man. Also, everybody, check out our sponsors at safebycandle.com and shout out to everyone in our community. Mel, thanks for coming on, man. Andrew, always a good time. Peace.
Be safe.
See you.